Hey, Economopoulos, it's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Doing very well, Elijah. Glad to be here.
Beautiful, and thank you so very much for being here. And you see, Economopoulos, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become an anthem for me. So, firstly, I want to say thank you so very much for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invested in yourself. And oftentimes, Economopoulos, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. I say some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, just recently, Economopoulos, I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did. And it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it. Beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and not just mangoes, Economopoulos. I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely moment that day. I was so excited. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Economopoulos that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to say no to you. And getting to read a little bit about you, the stuff that you're doing, the impact your work is having, your philosophies, your insight, these stuffs are amazing. So I've got to say thank you so very much for doing that to yourself. And secondly, thank you for being here. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Elijah. I appreciate and I love the story because there was a point that I was the dry up prune, no mango tree, no fruit. And now in my life there is fruit and there is abundance of fruit and brightness. So I
Wonderful.
appreciate. I love that story.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. So let's get started. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today, Economopoulos, for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Economopoulos, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information. And you see, ever since, and not just knowledge now, but the application of
I
it.
lost touch.
And you see,
I can't.
Economopoulos, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means not being so keen to knowledge seeking, because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very, and even to the listeners. The second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Economopoulos on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, Economopoulos, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Economopoulos got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Economopoulos, over to you.
Thanks, Elijah. I appreciate once again to you and to all your listeners. Yes, my name is Gina Economopoulos. You say it correctly, and I love the way you say it. And I was born in New York on Long Island. I'm a Syosset girl, one would say, and I was born of one of 8 children. And to give briefly about my childhood and throughout my life and where I am today is that I was born with a lot of physical limitations, so that kind of uh, I insecurity. I had insecure, low self esteem. Didn't like myself. I compared myself to my siblings who were very athletic, and I just couldn't do it because of the way I was born and had many surgeries, accidents. It seemed like if anything bad happened, it happened to Gina, poor little Gina. My parents loved us unconditionally, so that carried me through. It didn't, but yet I didn't love myself, and I didn't share my insecurities with anyone. I didn't realize that I just didn't like myself. As time continued, I did go to college, and I'm exploring life. What is the meaning of life? At this point, I am raised Catholic, but God was not in my life. I received all my sacraments, but yet I was too cool to have a relationship with Jesus. That's not the thing. That's not the way to go. And so in college, I developed the party life, the drinking, the drugs, whatever in that atmosphere. And I've learned that I was a runner, so I was trying to escape from my feelings of that insecurity, that fear, that poor me syndrome, and thinking that alcohol and other stuff will medicate it. But yet, once that's out of my system, I'm back to Gina, and nothing has changed. And I realize now because God was not in my life. Later on, the first tragedy in my life was my mom. She was diagnosed with cancer. It was right after I graduated from college. I moved back with them, and she died. So that was
So
a
sad.
real hard point. Yeah, it was 33 years ago, and at that time, I had no faith, no hope, no love, and no God. And today, I could say it was hell. That's what hell is to me. When you don't have any of those, you don't have faith or hope or love or God. I was in hell, and that was where the meaning of life came in to play. Searching. We want to find that love. We want to find that acceptance. We want to find where we belong, and that's what I was searching for my whole life, and even in my 20s. And at this point, I was bartending, so I'm thinking bartending is my life. But yet, after mom died, I came back to my Catholic roots, back to the church, and I found love. I found God again. He was always with me. And in that, I joined the convent. I was a Catholic nun for 12 years down in the South Bronx of New York. So I could continue. So anyhow, I got kicked out of the convent after 12 years. I didn't understand. I experienced a lot of suffering and trauma, one would say, abuse, emotional abuse, but in hindsight, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. But it was through a lot of pain and suffering. So kept moving forward, and I went to go live with men with disabilities, and then my whole life it was just searching for that meaning of life. What is my purpose? At this point, I guess purpose came into action. I knew what purpose was, or trying to figure out, why am I alive? What do I do? I thought I'd be married by now. I thought I had kids by now, but yet I was an ex-nun, just very broken. I was very broken. And so as I continued, I went back to bartending. And then in that, I had, I don't know. Okay. Hopefully I went back to bartending, and in that I met a gentleman named Danny, the love of my life. I will continue. So anyhow, I had after the nunnery, after living with the men with disabilities, I went to do what Gina wanted to do. I'm in my 40s, so I came to the Jersey Shore, to the beach, and I went back to bartending because that's all I knew how to do. And I was kind of tired. I was tired of serving. I hands-on with the poor, the dying, you name it, the gangs, the youth, the elderly. And I did what Gina wanted to do, and she loves the beach, which is find peace. So came here, bartended. That's when Danny walked into my life, a gentleman. And here, this is 2 years after leaving the convent. So I had to relearn how to relationship, with a man, and we fell in love. We started, it was a great thing, great gift in my life at the time. And, but yet I come to find out that he was an alcoholic. And so, and he was active. He was drinking. So, and then he tried to stop, and our relationship was, I was being, one would say codependent, enabling him, oh, please stop, because he was a great man, simply sick. When he's sober, the great guy. But yet, he had the cunning, baffling, insidious disease of alcoholism. Ultimately, as he kept trying in and out of rehabs, that he found his sobriety, but then yet he ultimately died of the disease. And so, and here I was with him every step of the way. I was believing in him. I was encouraging him. But yet at this point, when I found him dead a month before our wedding day from the disease, that's where I didn't have any life in me. I was back to a really square one, back in a dark, dark place. At this point, up until this point, I was believing in God, praying that he would heal Danny, but yet it didn't happen. So I became very angry, very resentful. I hated life. I hated myself, and I hated God. I'm in my mid-40s, and I just was like, okay, I know my meaning of life is just to suffer. I surrender. I'll suffer. I'll suffer for you. I'll suffer for everyone. That there's no peace or happiness in my life. And I really felt that and meant that. I came back to the Jersey Shore because Danny's story was all in Indiana, which is a tragic story in itself. But come back to the Jersey Shore, just simply existing, just like I gave up, because all along I kept pushing forward. What's the meaning of life? And here, thinking it was Danny, thinking that, he found sobriety, but then he ended up dying from the disease. That's it. Tired and exhausted. And so, yet I came here. I did find a job. I just was, grieving, complicated grief, big time. I was just a zombie living in this life and just moving along. No worries about Gina. And but then yet I found myself in the rooms of AA, which is a 12-step program. And I came in just to see, this time seeing, why did Danny die of this disease and these people didn't? Because I was never raised with alcoholism or anything. Yes, I knew people who drank, but I drank a lot. I would never think I was an alcoholic at the time, but that was, I thought it was bums under the bridge. But lo and behold, as I go into these rooms of AA, as I was listening and trying to figure out, like I said, why didn't, Danny make it? Why? And these people did. But as I was going one day at a time, going in the rooms, I come to find out that I am an alcoholic. So my whole life went went in a circle, and then all of a sudden found myself in the rooms of AA and realized that I had trouble with alcohol. That alcohol, in hindsight, I ran away from life, from drinking and just escaping my feelings, escaping life in itself. And so 10 years ago, when I realized I'm an alcoholic, being in the room sober now for 10 years, that I live a life of in the light. I'm in the bright. I'm like that mango tree right now, full of fruit, and bright and sunshine, and just like, wow, like this is a miracle. It is a true blue miracle in my life. And I know if there's a miracle in my life, there's a miracle in everybody's life, in the world, and life in itself. And then also I, reunited my relationship with my God. I learned how to forgive and etc. and all that. And so God is so much part of my life today. My sobriety is so much part of my life. Without both, I don't know where I would be. And in that, I'm able to bear fruit and give it to others and help others and serve others and be there for others and be present for others. And now I got my smile back, because the smile is on my insides. I was, like I said, I was a runner running away from Gina, myself inside. And now I'm comfortable with Gina. I'm with Gina. I'm with the Gina within me. And we go forth one day at a time, continue on this journey of healing, faith. It's a constant, journey, but it's about growth and change. and continue to bear that fruit to bring more mangoes into my life, one would say. So,
Isn't wow. You see, it was as though you shouldn't stop talking. I found your story very touching, inspiring, motivating, and you're such a strong woman, I tell you. Because I listen to people, and I had a conversation with someone just I think about 2 weeks ago, and the person also had similar situation as that of yours, but she's stuck. She ain't moving forward. She had allowed the situation to decide her circumstance, decide her future. Now she ain't interested in doing anything to move forward. She's choking her life with series of excuses and impossibilities and all. So after this episode now, I'm going to do her the favor of sending this podcast to her and tell her to listen to Gina,
please
who's
do.
gone through hell and high water, and now she came out of it using a solution to help others. I love it. You're such a strong woman going through all of that. The pain of losing your loved one, and that must have been so tough on you. And yet you came out of it. The addiction and all of those stuffs, you fought it through with God by your side. I love that. So you've answered most of my questions, but I've got just a few left. So there's this part you didn't talk about. So what inspired you to venture into writing? You wrote Shake the Dust Off Your Feet and Work. Can you talk to us about that?
Yes, real briefly, when Danny died about 13 years ago, I was in such a dark, dark place that somebody encouraged me to write. So I wrote out all my pain, and in that, a lot of the pain from the sisters that I held on to came up. And I put that aside, and when people heard my story as being a nun and not a nun, like all this, that there's like, oh, it'd be a great book. But yet I was full of anger. So I put that aside. And then when I found my own recovery and finding my own healing and strength and hope and all that, like being reunited in who I am, about 2 years ago, somebody says, "Oh, you should continue to write where you are today to share with people." So, and that's how, like 2 years ago, I started writing where I am today. Things that have happened to me, where who I am, because be honest with you, 13 years ago, I didn't think I'd be anyone. I didn't think I would be here today. I thought, I don't think I would have died because I felt like God wanted me to suffer, like, okay, live a non existent life. But now I could participate in life. And so that's why I wrote the book, Shake the Dust Off Your Feet and Walk, because in hindsight, that's what I did without even realizing I did. And in hindsight, I look today because my heart is open that it was truly God's grace that really carried me through it all. The universe, whatever, that's not Gina or anyone that carried me through. So that was my motive of writing. And it's just sending that message of hope and strength to your friends, to whoever that needs, and say, hey, if it could happen to me, it could happen to anyone at their own time.
Exactly. That's so true. So finally, along the way, what are some important lessons you've learned that you like to share with the audience?
Oh, yes. One of the many lessons I've learned is that all we have is today. Is not to take my life nor my sobriety for granted. That when I'm in the present, showing up and participating in life for today, then there's God, there's sun, there's light, there's fruit. And that's what I practice. We have to practice it every day, or I practice it every day just to be in today, because that's where the peace is in today. It wasn't in yesterday and it wasn't in tomorrow. So it's a journey of trying to live my best life today.
Beautiful, I got that. So that's going to be the end of the show, Gina. And for folks who like to reach out to you, learn more about everything we've discussed, or make a purchase of your book, how can that be possible?
It's on my website, ginaecon.com, and you could also find the book on Amazon, and you'll see more more about me on Amazon as well as on my website, ginaecon.com.
Beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, Gina. Thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing this profound insight and this powerful story with us. It means a whole lot. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to all your listeners. God's peace.